What is up, internet? Jojo here, and I have a hot take to make. Now, as you might assume, I know a lot about many different series and characters, but I don't always get to show this knowledge off very often at all. This is mostly because it takes so long to do a deep dive into any given series, and the fact that videos with a lot of analysis in them are very difficult to make quickly. Yet, there is still a lot I want to talk about, despite me not having the time or mental resolve to spend months researching every character before I even talk about them. So that's what this video is. A lightly researched, mostly off the top of my head, hot take, and today we're talking about Luffy vs Meliodas. So, with all that out of the way, let's discuss what everyone thinks is the most important thing in a fight: power. When it comes to actual raw power, Luffy actually takes this with relative ease. You see, Meliodas can scale most reliably to a small fraction of what was used to beat the Demon King, and as we calculated before, this entire attack was worth about 80.3 teratons of TNT. For the sake of argument, we're going to be giving all this to Meliodas. Though, if I recall correctly, I previously calculated that Conqueror was capable of generating somewhere in the low pentatons of TNT, but I can't seem to find my research notes on that. Guys, it was a long time ago. Long before I had any way to keep my research organized. Also, Conqueror is a whole different beast entirely, so it would be difficult to justify scaling them to each other. Anyways, let's call it 80.3 teratons of TNT. This is way more than enough to vaporize Britannia, as well as cause a global catastrophe that would affect literally every corner of the globe. Very nice, Meliodas, very nice. However, Luffy is likely much stronger. Spoilers for the One Piece anime. Skip ahead a few seconds if you don't want to get spoiled. Due to the simple fact that Luffy can consistently use advanced Conqueror's haki, though I'm not sure it's advanced but instead a different application of regular Conquerors, he should scale in part to Gold Roger and Whitebeard's clash, and we calculated that to be 5.8 pentatons of TNT for each pirate. Of course, he does not scale to all of that yet, but even a small fraction of that is more powerful than what Meliodas is capable of, and this is not his only feat that involves such levels of power. Luffy has bested two characters known for feats involving entire continents. The first is Oars, whose spine Luffy broke pre-time skip, and the second is Don Chinjiao, who could casually split a continent that was known for how tough it was. This was also a good while ago, and Luffy has become much stronger now. Yet the most important thing is that Luffy can spam these attacks far more often than Meliodas can spam his 80 teraton attacks, as Meliodas has a magic limit. Of course, even if Meliodas could take the power advantage, which is likely to happen later on, given the events of Ragnarok in 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, Luffy is still much faster, as he was dodging lasers and punching faster than Living Lightning could react long before he got any sort of power-up. His first power-up, Gear 2nd, gave Luffy a power increase of 5 times. During the time skip, he became 100 times faster through his fight with Burn New World, though that is up for debate if it's usable. After the time skip, Luffy got Bound Man, which had a 3 times increase, and Snake Man, which really didn't have any stated power-up at all, but it's likely in the realm of 3 to 5. Luffy has also gone through multiple unconventional power-ups, like when he fought Katakuri, and his training in Udon, which made him vastly stronger. Of course, the 7 Deadly Sins has a few light dodging feats, like when Diane and Gother reacted to Mail shooting lasers at them, but even if we take Helbram saving Jericho and Gila from King Sunflower, which is questionable in itself, we can't really scale this up, as combat classes don't really account for speed. This is actually something I didn't realize until pretty recently, as combat classes break down as Force, aka Physical Power, Magic, aka Magic Limit, and Spirit, which is probably best compared to Health or Mental Endurance. After all, Gil Thunder can move like lightning, but his combat class has only even ever been half of Meliodas's. Zeldris, who has 1/4 the combat class of the Archangels, took on both Ludrasil and Mail with his speed alone. So speed is clearly not accounted for in these combat classes, meaning it would be ridiculous to scale speed according to combat class, unless it's a direct power-up like Meliodas' Assault Mode. However, even accounting for that, it's only an increase of roughly 2 times, maybe a little more, and that's not even close to enough to overpower Gear 2nd's 5 times, and very likely not enough to overcome Luffy's massive speed advantage. Putting their physical stats to the side, both characters also have a wide range of powers and abilities. Take for example Meliodas' Full Counter. This is an ability that, like it sounds, allows Meliodas to blast any magical attacks back at the person who casts them. But that wouldn't work on Luffy as he doesn't use any magical attacks. You might think that Luffy's Devil Fruit powers would count as magic, and so Meliodas should be able to counter his attacks, but that's simply not the case. Just because someone has a lot of magic in their body does not mean that Meliodas can counter it back. If this were true, then Meliodas would have been able to counter a punch from a highly magical character like Bon, but we know he can't, and it's pretty explicit about it. Luckily, that's not the only skill Meliodas has. Due to his biology as a demon, Meliodas also has access to high-level demon attack magic called Hellblaze. This is a fire that doesn't go out until it completely consumes a target, but it doesn't take much to put out if you have some skill in nullifying magic, as Merlin displayed. Yet, even then, Luffy's Armament Haki is an anti-magic ability, so it would likely be able to counter, or at the very least, limit the Hellblaze's effect. Now, we obviously can't forget Meliodas' unique magic, Trillion Dark. Unfortunately, we can forget about it because, for all intents and purposes, it's a blunt force attack, which Luffy is highly resistant, if not completely immune to. So, all this said, there is still one ability that could insta-kill Luffy, and that's Dark Snow. As is shown in the first arc, this kills anyone who comes in contact with it, and if it manages to land on Luffy's bare skin, then it would certainly kill him. But the chances of that are slim to none, as even unnamed characters were capable of dodging it, and Armament Haki would be able to resist its effects if it did catch him by surprise. The next type of Haki is Conqueror's Haki, but I don't think the basic form is going to have much impact on the fight outside of blasting Meliodas' clones. And there's no way for me to talk about it further without spoiling the anime. Outside the main powers of both characters, they have a few other skills they can fall back on, namely Meliodas' regeneration and Luffy's ability to grow massively in the middle of a fight. But the only one that I could see making a huge difference would be Meliodas' Endura form. Unlike traditional power-ups that increase your combat class, which does not account for speed, Endura clearly increased every ability. From what Derriere and Mondspite showed when they went Endura, we can assume that it increases power by 5 to 6 times. We know this because Mondspite and Derriere had a combat class of about 50,000 against the Archangel's combat class of 200,000, and they utterly stomped the Archangels. So, depending on where Meliodas is starting at, which is most likely a combat class of 1 million give or take, and his Endura form could have a combat class well over 6 million. This might be enough to close the gap between him and Luffy if Meliodas can activate it. But that's a big if, as Luffy's future sight would certainly pick up on it. After all, Luffy only has to destroy one heart to stop Meliodas going Endure mode entirely. Now, this is just my hot take, and any more definitive analysis would have to go far deeper into the characters and what they can do. So, from what I've seen and what I know, I don't think this is a good matchup, as much of Luffy's arsenal counters much of Meliodas'. I am expecting Cursed by Light to give Meliodas much better speed feats, but I don't think it's going to be enough to topple Luffy's massive advantages. Especially when you realize that if we give Meliodas the movies, we have to give Luffy the movies as well. So, that's it for my hot take. This is by no means a deep dive into characters, as a deep dive could yield far different results. But, based on what I said, I doubt it. Thanks for watching, remember to like and subscribe, all that stuff. See you next time, remember to stay spectacular. Jojo, out.